if you're saving money, should you save it all in cash or should you save it all in gold and silver? Hello future investors, I hope you're all doing wonderful. Today I want to talk about cash saving. Now we all have savings, and monetary cash savings is what I'm getting at, in form of savings in the bank. Now, should you save your money with, say, cash in the bank, or should you take all of your savings and buy gold and silver and use that as a form of savings? Well, I'm going to try and answer that question, and I think there is a few ways we can answer this. So let's start off with how I try to look at it. So when it comes to saving money, initially you have to have the money, of course. So here we've got a £20 and a £10 note. Now, I have a pretty good method, I like to think, of saving money. Now, what I do is I get paid on a monthly basis. And what I do with that money is I work out what needs to go out on my expenses column. And I work out whatever is left is to go on my basically monthly enjoyment column, if that makes sense, and my savings column. So every single month I get paid, and I know exactly how much I need to put into my billing account every single month. It never changes, and I know how much I like to live off of in a month. Now, the money we're talking about here is my play money, which includes going out for dinners, petrol, because it's fun, sort of like, it's not fun, should I say, it's travel, but I don't take that under bills because it's an expense that I control. It's not an expense I have to pay. So, and then whatever is left I put into a savings account, which I distribute to precious metals and my cash savings account. Now, however, if you are somebody that is saving money just for the sake of saving money, maybe you don't have any goals, maybe you're just earning money and you're sticking some cash into a savings bank account, an ISA, or some other form of monetary saving account with really no means to an end. You're just saving for the sake of saving. Now, that's a great job. Congratulations, you are saving money. That's a lot more than most people do. But as we know, cash in the bank is dead money. It's not working for you, it's actually working against you. So, does that mean you should take all of your savings, dump it into gold and silver, and then continue saving, but instead of leaving it in the bank, you buy gold and silver? No, not necessarily. In my experience, I like to have a mixture of both. Now, I don't like to keep money in the bank account because I know it's not doing anything for me. However, if I was to take all of my savings every single month that I want to save and dump it into gold and silver, it's a great investment. It protects that cash. However, I want to have that cash for liquidity. I want to be able to make spontaneous purchases, and me personally, I do have investment goals, and my big first investment goal is to buy my first buy-to-let property. Now, I do currently own my own property. Obviously, I've got a mortgage, but my goal is to buy my first buy-to-let property. So how does that affect me with my cash saving when you're looking at trying to save while buying and investing in gold and silver? Well, it all comes down to the person and their own desires and their own financial circumstances. I try to save a fair amount equally, if I would say it like that. I don't really have a stringent plan. What I do is I get paid, I pay my billing account first. I always pay my debts first. Not that I have debts, my only debt could be considered my mortgage, but that's a different topic. And then what I do is I look at how much I've got in that lump sum of cash savings, and I look at that figure and I go, right, how much have I got in my savings account? Okay, I've got X amount. Where would I like to get that to by the next 2 months? X amount. Okay, I know I need to put half of that in there. Then that leaves me with this half to invest in precious metals. And whatever is left over, I then buy maybe some silver, maybe some gold. Now this year I did set myself some stacking goals. Normally I've been a lot more relaxed when it comes to buying gold and silver. I never really set many goals in terms of stacking throughout the year. I just kind of bought spontaneously. However, this year I did set some stacking goals, and my stacking goal for precious metals was solely and only to buy 2 1-ounce King Charles III Britannia coins. Now, I've done one of those so far, and as you will know if you're an avid watcher, I have kind of drafted off of that goal setting a little bit. I ended up buying this lovely 1 kilo Britannia coin, and I ended up buying a couple of 1/4 ounce gold Britannias as well. However, I'm not worried about that because there's still plenty of months in the year for me to complete my stacking goal, and there was no time limit for me apart from doing it by the end of 2023. So I would have to say, when it comes to saving, it comes down to your own desires. Maybe if it was me and I didn't want to buy a buy-to-let property and I was just saving cash for the sake of saving money, I would definitely not have any of it in the bank account. I would probably put 95% of that into precious metals, whereas now I probably have, in terms of cash saving, maybe like a 70% cash saving compared to my net worth of value in precious metals. So I do have more money in the bank right now than I do precious metals. I'm not going to go into that specific figure because it's a little bit private, but yeah, I do have more money in the bank in savings than I do precious metals. Now, that is only because I want to buy a buy-to-let property. I otherwise would not keep that amount of money in the bank. I would probably have dumped a lot of it into precious metals while keeping around 5% back for a rainy day. So if it comes to you and you're new watching this video and you're thinking, I've got 5 grand, 10 grand, even £1,000 in the bank, and I'm just saving for the sake of saving, I don't have any goals with that money, I would say take that money, I'd say take 95% of it and invest it into silver and gold and use precious metals as a form of savings. Because I think a lot of us precious metal stackers do really look at gold and silver bullion as a form of a savings account. It's a great way of protecting your wealth, not losing out to inflation, and it's a store of wealth. You've got this asset here which you just look at as a kilo of gold, but I look at it at around £1,000 of value. Of course, if I was to sell that back to a bullion dealer, I wouldn't get that per se, but in a few years I should get that money back, if not more. So I think if you've got no investing goals, probably best to not keep any money in the bank and use precious metals as a savings account because it's extremely safe. But if you have got specific desires with investments in your future, then you will know what you need to achieve in terms of that saving amount. For me, it's looking at quite a substantial amount of money, obviously, to be able to buy my first buy-to-let property. So it's going to take me a short while to accumulate that money. In the meantime, I'm going to try and keep drip feeding some cash into precious metals without hammering my savings for that investment in particular. So I hope this kind of video has made sense. It's kind of more about my specific ways of how I look at investing versus saving money. I think with you and your personal circumstances, it's different, but maybe you can take some of the information I've given you and use it in your own setup. Apologies there, the dog's going off in the background. He probably doesn't agree with me. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate all of your support, likes and comments, and a shout out to the channel members, the Stack Collector. And until next time, I will see you in the very next episode. Bye-bye, guys. To watch another episode on future investments, click the link now.